pensioners, and we will always stand up for pensioners in this government. We believe passionately in that. What we're trying to deal with is a statistical freak caused by the COVID pandemic, so that one of the data in the triple lock jagged down and up again very sharply, with a weird effect on pensions, and pensioners will still get. They'll still be protected. Pensioners will still be protected. They'll still get 2.5%. They'll still be protected against rises in the cost of living. What we're trying to deal with is that that big upward spike in earnings which was a function of the big downward spike caused by COVID. And I think most people can see that. I hope, and I hope that people can see that it's fair. But Rishi, is there anyone to add to that?
I don't think anything to add. I think Prime Minister used the word statistical anomaly, distortion, artificial. Those are not our words. Those are the words of all the independent commentators about this issue. And it's temporary. It's just for this year. And so hopefully pensioners will feel reassured that not only have we protected them in the past, we're protecting them this year with at least a 2.5% increase in pensions, or higher if the cost of living is increasing faster than that. And we will continue with the triple lock thereafter.
Great, thanks. Arj Singh from the I.
Hi, Prime Minister. Another one of your manifesto commitments was that you'd seek a cross-party consensus on social care reform to ensure that it stands the test of time. Why did you fail to do this? And are you concerned that the social care problem may not be fixed once and for all, as you said, as a result?
Thanks very much, Arj. And I do want to achieve a cross-party consensus where possible. But one of the interesting things that came out in the statement just now in the House of Commons was, of course, that there was a cross-party agreement by the Committee on Social Care that there should be a levy paid for out of taxation, out of NICs, I think. In fact, they even said, and so there were members across the House who backed that proposal. This is identical or very similar to the one that we're coming forward with today. So I do hope that colleagues across the House will see that what we're doing is the right and the progressive thing to do, that the burden is being borne overwhelmingly by those who are most able to bear it, and I hope that that people will support it in the House of Commons. And I was encouraged by what I was hearing this afternoon from colleagues across the House, actually, and not just from our benches, from other benches as well. Okay, folks, thank you all very much. Thank you.
We've had in a long time. It'd be great to ask you about one of the fundamental.
Yes. So let me hang on, Pippa. I'll get a Pippa. Okay. Right. I can see. You see, my objective in asking for not independently targetable questions was to try to give you all more of a chance. Okay. We'll get a Pippa and then Tom. Oh my goodness. Right. Well, I think here's what we're going to do. We're going to take 5 more. All right. And I'm going to be draconian, arbitrary, and ruthless in the way I decide to appoint these. I'm going to go to Pippa first.
I just wanted to ask a little bit more about the care funding aspect of it, which was announced today, the 5.3 billion over 3 years. I mean, some of the care providers are very anxious about this. MENCAP has said it's not going to be enough to fix the care crisis now. The UK Home Care Association says it's nowhere near enough. Census described it as being social care system treated again as the Cinderella service when compared to the NHS. Is £5.3 billion over 3 years really enough, given only half of it will be going on reform? How easy will it be when that moment comes to an end to transfer, if you like, that cash from the NHS backlog to the social care system? And for the Chancellor, is there more money likely to be available in the autumn statement specifically for social care?
Thanks very much, Pippa. Well, on local councils and social care, as you know, we've put billions in already throughout the pandemic, and the objective of the levy is to ensure that social care gets properly funded. But as the reforms kick in, the increment going to social care goes up. But Saj,
what I'll add to that is that this is on top of the funding system that already exists. So this is your fresh new funding, £5.4 billion over the next 3 years. And in terms of exactly how it's going to be applied, so for example, the £500 million for workforce trading, we will be consulting with our colleagues in the sector and working with them on what's the best way to use that, listening to their ideas, equally on the fair cost of care, working with local authorities across the country to see how best to use that money.
Great, thanks. Tom Newton-Dunn.
Prime Minister, one for you, or possibly your Chancellor, since you've kindly devolved all tax-raising questions to him as First Lord of the Treasury. You've hypothecated all this money for the NHS and social care. You'll say that's going to be legally ring-fenced. But what happens come 2025? You haven't paid down all the money you need to pay down for the NHS for COVID catch-up. Will you then keep that 12 billion a year, keep on going into the NHS, or will it be then hypothecated from that moment onwards into social care? For in other words, will the NHS get the never-ending £12 billion a year extra? Or how do we know this money actually will go to your social care plan?
Because that's what we're setting out today, and as Saj has just explained, the reforms and improvements in social care go upwards in expenditure terms over the coming years. But the priority right now is fixing the electives, fixing the backlog, paying for the nurses that we're recruiting in huge numbers, doing the vaccines, but also recognising that you can't expect in the long term to fix these problems unless you also deal with social care. But any of my colleagues want to add to that? Heather.
Follow up to that one really, which is what proportion, so it's less than £1 in 6 of this tax increase that will be going to social care in the first 3 years. I wonder what you expect that proportion to be in, say, 5 years' time or 10 years' time. Will it ramp up quite quickly, the proportion that goes to social care? When will it be 50-50? And just, Prime Minister, are you going to reshuffle your top team this week?
You could take
you do the second one.
But just on that, the proportions we set out for the next 3 years, I think most people understand there's a lot of assumptions we've had to make here in terms of the prevalence of COVID, the future direction, is that will have an impact both on NHS and social care. And then also an assumption around how much of the sort of missing treatment. So we estimate there's about 7 million people that normally, in normal times, would have come forward to the NHS for treatment. They stayed away at the height of the pandemic. We all understand why that happened, but we have to make an assumption around how much that will bounce back. So I don't want to say, after 3 years it will be exactly this split. But what we do know is that we'll be able to certainly deal with a huge amount of the backlog of the next 3 years, and more proportionately of the funding through the levy will go towards adult social care.
But you don't think you'll have dealt with the whole backlog in the next 3 years?
We're going to try and tackle as much of the backlog as we can.
And we've got to be realistic. Unless we do this, we can't deal with the backlog in the way that I think the British public need. This is fundamental to putting our NHS back on its feet post COVID. Harry, and then Jason, and then that's it.
You didn't answer Heather's question about the reshuffle, I know. But, Prime Minister, do you still admit that national insurance is a regressive tax that will hit your constituents harder than it will hit any well-paid MP, as you told the House of Commons in 2002? And a question for the Health Secretary. If you were still doing the Chancellor's job, is this exactly how you would have fixed the COVID black hole?
Harry, just quickly, just really to repeat what I think I said to Beth earlier on. This is the IFS have today come out and said that this is a measure that is both progressive and broad-based. It's the right way to raise the sums that we need and to fix the electives, fix the backlog, and deal with social care.
I agree 100% with the Chancellor. He's been trained well.
Okay. Right, Jason.
Yeah, thank you. Businesses saying that this is a tax on jobs. I mean, you guys used to say this is a tax on jobs. Do you accept what business leaders are saying, that this will have an impact on jobs. And while we're talking about jobs, Prime Minister, put these guys out of their misery. Is there going to be reshuffle this week or not?
Okay, right. Look, first of all, can I just say, having praised the Daily Express for campaigning for pensioners, I do think it's right to say that the Daily Mail has run a historic campaign on the issue of social care. You have had it on your. It's been part of your battle cry for a long time now, and I think it's been the right thing to call for, and this government is delivering it. So I congratulate the Daily Mail and its readership for what they've said on this, and I think that it's fundamentally right. But you can't do that without some tax raising, particularly given the current context, and that's why we're taking the exceptional measures that we are, and they're framed to deal with these interlinked problems of pressures on the NHS, greatly accentuated by delayed discharges, and alleviating that problem of delayed discharges with finally a fundamental attempt to grip the issue of social care. So I hope that it finds. I think it's totally the right thing to do. And on your point about the economy, and whether this will take the air out of the tires, take the wind out of the sails of the recovery that we're seeing, I don't think so. But perhaps I ask Rishi to say a bit more about that.
Jason, so because of the way that we've done things in the past, the smallest 40% of businesses, so 650,000 businesses, won't be affected by this at all. And that's because of the employment allowance, which we increased in the first budget that I did. The next 40% of businesses, so another 650,000 or so, will face an average increase of about £450, which for context is about 0.1% of their revenue and less than 1% of their wage bill. And 70% of the contribution from businesses will come from the largest 1% of businesses. So that's the impact on businesses, which again is similar to the personal side, is I'd say progressive. I think you asked about the impact on jobs and supporting jobs. The labour market is performing incredibly strongly. Over a year ago, we put in place the plan for jobs. We announced that. We knew that jobs would be incredibly important. And back then, people were expecting unemployment to peak at 12 or 14%, millions of people unemployed. People now think that unemployment may have already peaked at less than 5%. That's 2 million fewer people out of work as a result of the interventions that we've put in place. We've had now 8 months of more and more people coming into work, 6 months of the unemployment rate falling, and we are continuing to support people into work and support businesses to hire them, whether that's through apprenticeship incentives, or if you're a small company, we're giving you £3,000 to take on a new apprentice at the moment. We've created a Kickstart scheme where we're fully funding high quality jobs for young people with businesses. So across the board, I think we are doing an enormous amount to get people into work and support companies to hire them. And you can see that in the statistics. Our plan for jobs is working.
Okay, thank you all very, very much. And if I've avoided yours and Harry's question about more political matters, that is because this is a press conference that is focused on I think what matters to the people of this country, which is building back better from COVID, fixing the backlogs in our NHS, and fixing social care at the same time. Thank you all very much. Thank you.